Hi, I'm Laurie Dobson. This is a video I'm doing on January 3rd, 2020, and I don't have a title for it. I have been calling these videos different things. Island Update. At the very beginning of the pandemic, I've been talking about the beachhead as a name, and I think for now I'm just going to come out with what is a burning issue for me every day. And there are certain things that seem to just come right up when I'm considering what to say. So tonight, I want to follow through on a promise I made to keep up with my videos and to get right back to it. So hi, all you guys out there who've been supporting me, and I appreciate this. I do want to say I've got over 1,700 views on one of the videos I did early on called Where I Stand in early November. So it's wonderful that people are tuning in and hearing me, hearing other people. And it makes me understand that I do have a role to play. And even though it's not clearly understood, I just know that, you know, where there's people standing up and standing for what they believe is right here to do for each other, that's my fight too. So I want to talk tonight about Catherine Austin Fitts, who is a woman who has a real true understanding of what's happening here globally from an economic perspective. And she has a way of talking on her, I think it's under Planet Lockdown. I'll put a link down below. But her main understanding about all of this, and it seems to be a very deep understanding of what's going on, is to see how it's been run by those who want to use this situation. And she believes that the cover reason for all of this is the pandemic with the virus. But what it's being used for is more to the point, and, you know, follow the money. And she says that she believes that it's trying to dramatically centralize the economic and political control away from people. And how they have started this, as we all understood the dilemma we felt in the bizarreness, why would anybody be considered a non-essential person when we're all together part of this country? She said that what you need when you are trying to wrest control, and the billionaires that increased 27% since April, they've increased their net worth by a factor of over a quarter more rich than they were before. So for some, it's been a very successful scenario of control. But for the rest of us, when we first started trying to understand why so-called non-essential businesses were being shut down, it seemed as though we had cognitive dissonance because we understood certain things about that. You know, why would certain stores be considered, liquor stores be considered essential and others not? What was the thinking that went into that? Rather than just understanding that what was going on was that the small businesses, the little ones, were considered inessential, whereas all the big box ones run by the big corporations were considered to be able to stay open in their aisles and their massive amounts of people together. So that was the first start of what happened here. And she said, what you need to do when you're trying to take control from a lot of people, and what she believes is being done is changing the currency to the transaction is no longer going to be currency based, but it's going to be done through the cloud and through technology, and understood to be some sort of a global reset. That in order to get people to go along with doing this kind of a thing, you have to sort of catch them by surprise by believing that there's an invisible enemy that is attacking them, that it's not a visible one, that in our case, the first one was terrorism with 9/11, not the first one, but the one that I remember being on this kind of a level. And then the second enemy in terms of this one is that it's a virus. So it's something that we can't see. It's not somebody that we can directly attack exactly. Although Trump has been used as a foil for this thing. And then the second thing that you have to do is divide and conquer. So when people no longer accept an invisible enemy and they're starting to look for an enemy that's when you need to take people and divide them against themselves in some manner, just so it's one against the other, and it's never against the real target, the real enemy. And who is that? And she would say, we have a global takeover right now. There's a coup d'etat, and it's being done. It's an economic war. And she said that when you shut down the non-essential, so-called non-essential small businesses, that's a huge sector of our economy, a huge sector of people who you're enslaving, because what happens is the big boxes and the big corporations behind them take their market share. They're so busy trying to just survive. When the Federal Reserve grants and buys these corporate bonds and the finances their market share, so they can stay open and they can continue to buy out small businesses. So they're staying in business. They're getting wealthier. We consolidate around using them, and they benefit from that. So it also draws down the fact that people no longer can really afford to float populist candidates because they don't have money anymore. So they can control the political sector as well. You can't finance, people. So then, it definitely greatly diminishes the people that can support us and represent us to help change the system. And then the ones that are in power, they can control more and more to do their bidding and to introduce draconian laws and unthinkable things, such as the recent thing in New York where they're going to try to mandate COVID vaccinations on people. What was heartening to hear, I had just heard today, was that there was a demonstration in front of the house of the legislator that tried to introduce this to New York City by way of law. And there was a demonstration that included MAGA, Make America Great Again, Trump type people, as well as Black Lives Matter type people. So you're getting people across the political spectrum to understand that the real enemy is not each other, and it isn't person against person. It's that we're being organized to fit into the designs and the interests of the globalists and the ones that want to consolidate power around themselves and the elites. So while she says it's much more of a coup d'etat than a virus, but since 1995, she said that we have been under a form of a coup. They've moved assets and stolen money in the government and pension funds, and so they've stolen it and they need to control it. And so they have this magic virus. It seems to be doing a lot of good for some people, the most advanced technocracies and, the countries that have the most advanced digital systems. The largest G7 countries are consolidating their economic power and their wealth, and the more powerful nations and the 1% who control them. So it's she's described COVID-19 as the institution of controls to convert our planet from a democratic process to a technocracy. And we are watching a changing of controls. That's what I think it is. I agree, because it doesn't, since I've been involved in politics pretty intensely and watching economic efforts that have changed, particularly through 9/11 and the efforts there to attack countries and to get more and more money into fighting other countries and upsetting their economies, the World Bank and all the different efforts, the IMF and centralizing things under these controls. It just seems as though we've been disempowered ourselves in making any real meaningful change in our elections. And there's been such a growing amount of apathy and people not having faith in the system and bowing out of it. And 50% of people don't vote, or even more, I think, at this point. I don't know. So how do you get through this? How do you do this? I did it. I tried to figure out a way by running for office. I've done that several times since then, and trying to put forward proposals that support, you know, change and power to people. I've been involved in Occupy and other things like that, and social justice. I think that right now I'm stunned to see the effort that seems to be working to shut down hospitals, to corrupt them by having them serving the needs of those who will pay for them to stay open or to tend to and focus on COVID-related illness, calling things COVID, and not differentiating between the flu or other viruses, but everything seems to be going together. And when so many doctors are resisting and nurses, not just, you know, just from the beginning, seeing that these things are happening and protesting, but also that they're refusing to take the vaccine. And then as an EMT, I've seen that the service, it also has been taken into this domain where they're going to be delivering the vaccine after they, you know, pressure each other to take it. That's rolling out quietly, but it's definitely happening. I've attended town halls where, you know, the couple hundred people have listened in and are concerned, but what they have to sign if they don't choose to take the vaccine is different than what, you know, in the past, if I didn't want to take a vaccine to get, you know, up to date on being an EMT certified, I could sign off on that. I could, you know, I didn't have to sign off on any waiver that made it sound like I was being a criminal or I was in, you know, I was endangering other people. But the severity of the sign off on these vaccines is such that I think that it really puts people in a hard place. It makes them feel that they're betraying people by not taking the vaccine. So there's a, you know, the arm pressure on that, you know, the twisting the arm, and yet if they are part of doing it, you know, the service is really shouldn't be in the medical delivery of these kinds of really sort of new novel drugs that have not had a thorough testing procedure. So it's still in the realm of experiments, and that I think that, you know, the Nuremberg principles were that, you know, it was a criminalization of those who tried to use medical experiments on other people. That's a huge thing that got rejected by the international world, that was no longer something we would ever consider tolerable, and yet, to me, that's what the EMTs are being asked to do now. They are going to be asked to do after they pressure each other to do it, and then you just feel like that there's that divide and conquer motive going on there, and some of the things that were being said in these town halls to encourage people to take it, I felt were not accurate, and I did not feel they were true or honest. And was encouraged to talk to them after the Zoom meeting was over, but I felt that I needed to raise some questions about that during them. It's ongoing. It's very concerning to me. I was expelled from my service for raising questions October 30th and told that you know, I was off the service because of it. And I'm a nationally certified and Maine certified EMT, so on full status. So that being done just because I was raising questions on my own private social media page, my Facebook and YouTube channel, and just raising questions, trying to understand what we're truly being asked to do. I think that it's very important right now that people understand that there's a lot of support for people holding out and waiting and not doing what they don't feel right about and trusting their instincts. You're not hearing about it because people are unsure that it's safe to talk about. The level of fear has been promoted and ramped up so much over the mainstream media. You can't get away from it. It's everywhere. It surrounds you, even in the, you know, even in these supermarkets, you can't not hear it all the time, and it's being told to you as though it's the reality. That's what's really going on. It's got nothing to do with a global takedown. But I do believe that 5 years from now, we're going to say, I wish we'd fought for our freedoms harder. And I don't know where the world's going to be if we don't. I shudder to think, but we must stand up. I think it's a spiritual war. For me, it's on that level. I believe that I'm being called to defend people and their humanity. If we let people be subverted into this sort of new world, I believe that their enslavement is going to include transhuman kinds of agendas, where you're going to see that these vaccines do much more than just inject a medicine in to supposedly help you and change your proteins with these new RNAs affecting proteins, and then supposedly that's going to get the body to react to us in ways that we want it to. And who knows what it's going to do, but it's not the only vaccine. There's at least one more, and after that is going to follow a number of other kinds of requirements, and we're going to be less and less able to resist and refuse if we don't start off right off the bat saying, no, this is not going to work. It's a dangerous road to go down, and the time to fight this is right now and right here. And so I hope all of you take it as seriously as I am and look into it as much as you can. And if you want more information, my Facebook page, I post things a lot there. I'm going to continue to, if you want to be a part of a group where I do send out a lot of things, you can message me here, in the comments. I'm on Facebook Messenger under my name, so you can contact me there too. And I just wish you all well. And I think that we can do this together as long as we understand the real enemy is not each other and never has been. It's not our families. It's not our friends. Everyone's struggling to understand something that is tremendously difficult. And I think we're understanding the human part of this. We just think that, there are other different solutions that will help us to cope with this. And it's not by controlling other people. It's by following our own inner core beliefs. So thanks for listening. Bye.